Welcome to Hag
N Zad.
where one mate.
And the other rates.
Today, continuation, part 3 of our D&D Girls. And as you probably saw in the preview in the previous episode, get another mystical user, looks like. So, going to be making a Sorcerer today. And I used, again, a Mega Me device and another kotobukiya kit. But I'm actually going to show them this time. So, we've got one right here, the Oscar Archer. And the other one is this Soten Sentai. I can't remember. Anyways, it's this kit. So, those are the two kits used. This time, I'm going to be using a really cool technique that I found on Twitter. And this guy takes these medical gloves and he takes super glue and a bunch of random other stuff and just makes kind of like coats and stuff. He uses them for a lot of cyberpunk stuff. I figured it would look enough like leather that it would work for a mystical character kind of a thing. So I'm kind of drawing out the form here, and I'm going to insert some movable pins so that I can kind of pose it. And you can kind of see here, I've already made the sleeve as well, because I wanted her to have at least one big wizard sleeve kind of thing, even though she's not a wizard. She's the mage, or not the mage, dang it, the sorcerer. Jeez, I get this straight. She's the sorcerer, and we can see the decapitated...
She's a thing. She does magic, therefore big flowy sleeves.
She do magic, sleeve needed, exactly. And you can kind of see in the background the decapitated wizard from the last video, so that's awesome.
Pre-paint.
Yeah, exactly. Pre-paint, any other concisive idea. This was a lot of... I did all of these all at once, so they required a lot of brainstorming, and what you don't see off camera is all the brainstorming. So we're going to glue in.
I remember when you were talking about it, you were working on, 3 or 4 girls at a time?
Yeah.
Just switching, day-to-day, switching between the girls.
Yeah. And then when I had to paint them, because the weather was so terrible, when the weather was good, dude, I just went out and jammed them all out. I just had to go out and paint as many as I could because I did not know when the next good period of time to actually paint was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so just gluing this in right here. This worked out really well. Like this, putting in, I'm not sure what you would call this, but putting in an articulated wire so that it could be dynamic. This process,
like posable wire and stuff.
This process was really good. It worked out really well. I was very happy with the results of the posability of it. And I was getting really good feelings about kind of moving forward with this technique. I definitely want to do more stuff with this kind of latex glove idea. Mm-hmm. This was just kind of like my first foray into it. Because super glue works super well on it. Like here, you'll see right here, because it's just latex. All I'm doing is just using the accelerant and the super glue on kind of the hip joint. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it worked just like plastic, so...
Pretty smart of you, I think, to put the accelerant on the glove and then glue the plastic so that when they touch, they immediately...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's big brain.
If I had done it the other way, I would have torn that piece, guaranteed. The accelerant works really... I love the glue accelerant stuff. It's fantastic. However, it does not give you a lot of leeway for mistakes, so you got to be really confident in what you're about to do. Yeah, I kind of made this piece, and I glued it onto... So these arms usually have a little center divot piece, and I just glued it onto that, and then used that kind of buckle to hide the seam between that piece and her sleeve. And it looked natural enough that it just looks good. This one was also very simple, kind of like the wizard. She also was very simple, but you don't have to go too crazy. You don't have to go too hard with your D&D characters, I feel. You can probably... I was watching a video on character design. I did so many flat boards and just a bunch of different things just to get these characters up and going. But kind of an interesting thing on character design is that this one person was talking about how when you're doing a character and you're like, oh man, I really don't like them, Is it that you don't like them because they don't work, or they're missing something? And that's kind of something that I struggle with, because I like to add more stuff, just add. But with some of these, I really needed to subtract, needed to redact a little bit. And kind of how we get these characters. So moving on to the head, I wanted her to be a tiefling. She's kind of based off of a D&D character that was in one of the campaigns that I played in, the Rime of the... Oh, not in the Rime of the Frost Maiden. It was the Tiamat campaign.
Oh, okay.
And this was a cultist. Her name was Hale, and she was a tiefling. She was kind of like a pinkish tiefling. So I kind of took that idea and decided to actualize it in real life. So tieflings usually have horns and elf-like ears, and this kit has regular ears. So I'm going to take another technique learned from Twitter and try to sculpt her ears. So I'm gonna pop off the head backing piece. This kind of kit really lends itself well to do this, but it's gonna take parts of the sprue again, and I'm going to kind of get them in the shape of ears and then sculpt them, and that's gonna take forever. That's gonna take sanding and sanding, some more sanding, progressively faster sanding.
Sanding. Lots of sanding.
I'll have you know that this was clipped out to progressively get faster and faster.
Oh.
So we're now at like 300 speed. But we're gonna put this on, sand that area just so that they stick a little bit better. And you'll kind of see that it's gonna look like ears by the end of it. Or it's gonna look like long ears, really, is really what it is. So right now they kind of look like Shrek ears, and, forgivable, because yes, they are just tubes that are sticking straight out of her head. But eventually,
there's nothing wrong with Shrek either. If you have Shrek ears, he's a cultural phenomenon. It's okay to have Shrek ears.
Shrek is love.
Shrek is life.
But yeah, so I also had to cut out some pieces of her hair because the original headback did not. It wasn't
can't
prepared.
Imagine it was happy. Yeah, I can't imagine it was happy to have these ears all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, no, it was not prepared for Shrek ears at all. But I'll kind of build it up here, and you can kind of see. Yeah, she is. Get out of this swamp! But. And, actually here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off her little horns. I had these extra bits from the kotobukiya kit, the Asura Archer. Came with these little, horns that go on a headband piece. And they, luckily, give you two. So I'm just going to mark out where I need to lobotomize my patient and insert horns into her head. So I'm going to take the pin vise here in a second. And... look at the tiny birdie. Oh, I take her off. Okay, well, I take off the... I'm used to the other one, the wizard, that we reverse lobotomized her, so...
Yes!
Yeah, here we go. Just putting in these little horns.
Pretty smart. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the piece that I'm sticking in there, it's supposed to fit in another piece, and it was also kind of like a square bit. So... I'm putting a square peg into a round hole, literally.
Good.
But it works. It works on this, so. And that pin vise. See, again, same complaint as I did in the wizard video. I don't know what size that is, so I have to really do a lot of...
just back and forth.
Yeah, just a lot of trial and error to try to see what size is going to work best. But I think the placement was really good on here. And... I kind of put in some wormy dealies to mask and make it look like her hair is being parted where the horns are, just to make it cohesive. So, but yeah, a lot of back and forth, a lot of trial and error, but that's what this whole series is. It's a lot of trial and a lot of error. Tons of error, many trial.
I like the way that
Yeah, look, little horns.
that actually came out very well. Those horns came out very well.
Thank you. Oh, and see, so I gave up on the earpiece, so I just found another kit that had ears. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show you what kit that is. It's a Macross kit. The character came with like a bunch of extra faceplates, and I'm probably never going to use the faceplates, so I just cut them off and sanded them down and glued them where the ears were. Because, okay, so here was my issue. I tried to sand and sculpt ears while it was already glued, and I've come to since learn too that this extra thin cement probably not the best thing to do if you want things to stay together for forever. It's a very temporary solution thing. But since they were already attached to the head, it was impossible to keep it steady without them breaking. And if I were to do this again, what would I probably do? I would probably sculpt the ear first and then attach it to the head instead of the other way around. Which I'm not sure how that guy on Twitter did it, because he didn't really post any progress photos. He just had the character and then the finished product. So maybe he did it that way, maybe he didn't do it that way, but the way that I did it was the photo that he posted. It was basically a Shrek-like figure, you know. But anyways, we're kind of getting close to actualizing what her head looks like, and pieces cut off, and she's cute. We're moving on to some of the detail bits. So the detail bits are going to be a lot of belts. I wanted more belts.
Belts?
So I'm hot off of the Final Fantasy theme, and they got belts. Got belts that in places that don't make any sense. They got belts for stuff that do make sense, and they got zippers and belts and belts. So
Belts.
yep, they got belts.
All the belts. Okay.
They got belts.
We got belts for days. You ever seen, you walk past the shop and you see a bunch of guys that look just like me fighting over very complicated shirts? You go in. That's... Yes, you do.
Calico colored jeans.
Those are calico cut pants, but
the calico cut pants. That's what it is. Yeah.
Calico cut pants. They come like that.
That's you. He went financially bankrupt trying to keep this website up. So I'm gonna cut it real slow. This is kind of a thicker one, so this one took a little more effort to try to cut through. But all I'm going to do is that I'm just going to add these belts in a bunch of different spots to make it look cohesive, more fantasy-like. I don't know about you, but belts feel like a very fantasy thing. Like really big belt buckly belts.
Yeah. When done properly, I feel like it will be extra without giving it the Western look.
Yeah. And here, I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to kind of shape this in. So you see those little things on her hips? That actually works in my favor because I eventually go underneath them, and that helps keep the belt in place. Happy accident, as Mr. Bob Ross would say. But yeah, figuring that out. It's right about here. Look at that. That works out so well.
Oh, yeah, that did look... Okay.
And I thought it was a little bit thick, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down by just kind of cutting down this one piece and adding belts elsewhere. So, gotta cut. And unfortunately, because I've already cut this before, this was nigh impossible to try to do without severing limbs, you know? X-Acto knives are surgically sharp, so...
They are very much your friend when used not near you.
Oh yeah, exactly. Do you know that X-Acto knives that's what the guy that made them wanted them to be? He wanted them to be surgical scalpels. And for some reason or another, they were like, no, these suck. You can't use them as surgical scalpels. And here we go, belt making. We're making.
Oh my lord. We are making indeed.
It's just all the tiny details. All the tiny details stacked on top of each other. And I just time-lapsed it a lot. So, and they're all belts. All the tiny details are so many belts. So, here we go. So, I kind of put these little feathery things on her hips too. put some designs elsewhere, made her look real nice, and I think she looked very cohesive.
Yeah.
So, time to fix the things that are gapping issues.
I like your, was it your warrior in the back there?
Look
Oh,
at
yeah,
your
no, that was
little
just an idea.
baby guns.
It's my strong queen that nobody liked.
Well, I liked her. I thought it was funny.
I showed it to a couple other people, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I just kind of have to be like,
What is it that my coworker had said? They didn't understand, right, or whatever, and you just have to watch it. And that's what you just subjugate them until they understand your genius.
"Oh yeah, exactly." There you go. And then some out of focus epoxy work here.
Yeah,
because it's so tiny. It's just hard to get it in focus, man. Eventually I'll get a better setup to make sure it never unfocuses. But there we go. No. But imagine this: I'm filling her hole, the holes on the side of her head that used to have hair, with epoxy sculpt. So, man, it's so terrible when it doesn't focus in. It's really annoying. But we move on. So now to the painting. Also sword. Don't worry about that. Also weapons. Don't worry about that. That's for later. That's for later stuff.
Like I said, I didn't have to do a lot of painting all at once.
I didn't have a lot of time, so it was, And this is where all my white went, because, surprise, I actually did this one before I did the wizard. We're going out of order, folks. What is reality but what we doctor it to look like? So this white is great, even though I'm not going to be painting her in a skin tone. She's going to be in a pinky kind of color. It still works out really good. I think that if you're going to be painting skin, this is probably the best thing to do, regardless of what your final color is going to be, just because white is a great base tone that makes other colors pop. Gray is great if you want something to be the color that it is without any kind of vibrancy to it. And then black is what you use if you want to paint something that has a lot of shadows to it, because you're not going to get to it and then it's going to look dark and then it'll work. But yes, lots of white spraying.
Yes, we'd love to see it.
I need to find more of this white spray in that little canister that we normally get. Not like this rattle can, but in the actual like airbrush paint canister. But it's not impossible to find. My goodness, I don't know why either, because the rattle cans are very abundant, but then the actual little paint canister, it's just impossible to find. I'd rather push this out of my airbrush any day, just because you get a lot more control out of it. Through a rattle can, you very much risk a lot of issues. So. But yeah, man.
All fair, all valid.
All valid. It feels kind of bad now that I'm watching this, having wasted so much white paint on something that wasn't going to be white, or wasn't going to be like skin colored. But whatever. I feel like, maybe I probably would have been able to get away with using gray, and it would have had the same result. I probably would have been all right.
Especially since you're using like a darker color too.
Yeah, I think I would have been
skin.
fine. Yeah, I was a fool. Past me was stupid. Current me is stupid.
Hey, don't worry. You could have been me for all the viewers. I finally managed to do some painting, and I had a can of I think it was like the black Vallejo color shift. Like, it's black design to be used for color shift paints, and I managed to use the entire can for not even a full kit, because I just painted my hand with it. I decided my hand would just become black, and it was what did I say? It wasn't lacquer.
It was enamel.
It wasn't acrylic. It was enamel.
Yeah.
And my hand was black for a week and a half. In fact, I still have that black on my fingernails because it just does not come off.
I painted a kit once with enamel, and that was a huge mistake. I had to just give it up. I had to throw it away and start over again. Oh yeah, the little
I
turn
hear
things. They're great.
Yeah, I hear enamel's really good for it. It's like you want that color to stay.
Oh yeah, no,
but
100%. If you
it's
never want it to leave, use enamel. But
yeah,
anything else, yeah.
and it looks really good and looks really shiny. So I mean, I'd probably use it again for base coats to be like, yeah, I'm gonna base coat this thing like this, black, and just airbrush it all black, and I'll have more control than a spray brush. But not anytime
Enamel's
soon.
also enamel's also if you don't check or if you don't properly protect your plastic kits, it can eat away at the plastic and it'll just straight up break it. That's what happened with my F90 Gundam. I did not know that, and the face plate cracked when I was using an enamel panel liner.
Mm-hmm.
And the mouth, it just split in half. It was a clean break, and I'm going, what just happened? What did I do? Why did it break like that? And I come to find out later that it's because 100% enamel will just eat away your plastic. Also, this is a Gundam color. This is what the Infinite Justice color is. It's actually really great. I'm pretty happy that I can still integrate Gundam into other aspects, into other projects and stuff.
What are the name of those caps, by the way? There's no way you can only get them in Japan.
Oh no, I found them later too. I'll send them to you later.
Yeah, put a link underneath, like in our videos in there, because I don't know. I mean, it'd be very nice if I could just cap that on a bunch of my stuff, especially while I'm painting. Yeah,
most of the stuff that I use is all Mr. Hobby. Mr. Hobby something or other, but I can tell you exactly what it's called later. But yeah, Mr. Hobby makes a bunch of really nice stuff. But yeah, no, I didn't realize they existed until I went to Japan. But yeah. They sell them regularly. I saw them on USA Gundam Store the other day. And I was very upset because I was upset, but only at myself, because how would I have known that it existed if I didn't know what it was to begin with, you know?
Right. I mean, because I go to tools and stuff like all the time, but it's like, I mean, I don't even know what part of the tool section it would be, if it's even in tools, or if it'd be underneath the paint section.
Yeah, I'm not.
And stuff, and like,
I think it was in paint. It was probably in the paint section, because I don't look at tools at all, really. Or if I'm looking up for a specific tool, I'll just search it by the name. Yeah, here we go. First base coat color of pink, and you see how kind of it's very vibrant with pops because of that white base. Yeah, tieflings. Usually when I see tieflings in like fantasy settings, they usually have them very, very red. Most people draw them that way, but according to like rules as written D&D stuff, it's people that have a tint of that color in their skin. They're not actually like, I am a red person. Yeah, I just have. Basically, they're saying they're a ginger, and we took it as they are red.
Oh, okay. So we're just idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, you know, it's up to interpretation. It's a imaginary game. So
true.
We
always
took
just
it,
assumed it was. I mean, even the pictures they have are kind of red, but I always thought it was like, oh yeah, they're of demon blood and descent, so it's like they are red,
right?
But you know, yeah, I guess either which way isn't.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess my only issue is there'd be more racism in D&D if they were truly red. We can't even handle two colors of humans.
Yeah,
let alone.
But I mean, like, the racism is rampant in D&D. They're like, dwarves, elves, ugh, gross.
That's true.
My one of my buddies, we were playing a campaign that had high elves, and high elves are like, they think that everything that isn't a high elf sucks.
Yeah.
And he played a very bigoted high elf very well. It made me very mad, and I was thinking, why are you so good at this? You shouldn't be good at this. You're such a nice person.
That's what you thought.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, zipping through. And yeah, the skin for me is kind of like one of the more important parts. So I try to take a lot of care with doing that. The skin, face, those are usually the two things that I'll focus the most time on. Everything else can get wrecked. I don't care. I'm gonna mix some more. Bam.
Circuit here. Oh my lord! That was such a cool effect.
Wow. Her hair. going to be like a darker red color, darker red brown. And I took that whole red that I used for the leather bits, and I mixed it in with some of the skin color too. And I got this really kind of like, I'm not sure what you would call that, burgundy color?
Yeah. Like a burgundy or mahogany.
Mahogany. Yeah. Mahogany. Sean Mahogany. Learning a new system sucks. Yeah, I would not have left this much dead air in that video. Especially this part. Like, I would not have kept the cleaning of the airbrush. What am I doing?
I feel like you should keep the cleaning of it. It's just going to cut. I should not have kept this.
Why is this still in here? My gosh. Alright, moving on, I think.
Hopefully.
Alright, next color.
Eventually.
Russet.
Ooh.
And I'm going to do some undershading here. And now, I'm gonna do her robes in this really nice purple color.
Ooh.
So I've masked off her chest and stuff so that I don't spill over on the pieces that I already painted, but the latex, the little glove, was actually really easy to paint. I mean, again, it acted just like plastic, so...
Did you dry it down at all, or...?
What do you mean by dry it down?
So, because imagine even after you put the metal rods in, did you do anything to keep it in a certain, like, can you push it and stuff still?
Yeah, I was able to bend it and stuff, and it was still good. But here is you'll see a little bit later what happens. Here's just blue, and I'm gonna mix it into a nice magical kind of ombre, as they call it, a hombre. Transition of colors. So look at this. It's kind of made it look more magical, made it go from purple to blue. I think it looks pretty good. It works really well for what the character would be, and it's simple enough kind of thing that it's not overbearing, I guess.
I feel like airbrushing manages to allow for that too. I was painting something the other day, and I thought I managed to airbrush like a nice transition, and I was very impressed by how I had managed to do that. It was completely by accident. I wish I knew what model it was. But it was very nice. These
GX metallic colors are slowly becoming one of my favorite colors. But this purple, I just saw in a hobby shop and thought, whatever, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. Yeah. And it actually came out really nice. This purple looks really good. I'd say that it reminds me of something, but I'm not sure. I just think it looks really cool. Very mystical looking metal for sure. And for like the top of the belt part of it, I thought it worked really well. Check that out. Little wing. Crisp. Shiny.
Nice. I would never have thought using like almost a metallic metal for any of that either.
Yeah. This blue. So I used the blue as well for this skull. And I don't know why I went back to the sleeve. Look, it's a sleeve. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Sleeves.
Thanks, past me. You've made it impossible for me to edit. All right, metallic green blue. I'm gonna use
all
this
in a day's work.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a nightmare. I'm gonna have to edit so much in this video. It's gonna suck. Anyways, metallic blue.
Metallic blue.
So this one, this reminds me of an Easter egg, like the little tinfoil they use on Easter eggs, and that's why I like it so much. Is because it replicates something in the real world so nicely that wouldn't normally have the same thing. I actually originally got this paint to put on my it was Freedom Gundam. That's the one I wanted it on. But yeah, that greeny blue. It's out of focus now, but we'll bring it back into focus here in a second once I'm done putting it on there. But it also kind of matches the blue magical energy kind of a thing. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's also a 30-minute mission piece as well.
The skull was?
Yeah, I just glued it onto one of the adapters that the Koto kit used. So,
Oh.
yeah. So
I
this is
figured
what-
it was just one of your. It was like a Warhammer,
Oh no!
like one of the metal things there.
I have so much surplus of 30-minute mission kit stuff. And here we go. We're gonna start building her back up.
Oh boy!
Yeah, the whole body, because I did not put anything in terms of like sealant at the end of it. 'Cause I wanted to make sure that everything looked good first before going that route.
For sure.
And also with the epoxy sculpt, I didn't know if it was going to not allow me to put everything back together in a nice manner with the paint as well.
Mhm.
So, but it looked pretty good. It worked pretty well. Like here, we get the full picture of most of the head without the face because there's no eye decals on it. But it worked pretty
Very
well.
nice. That is a good color. I think it's a good demon-esque color for.
In color, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that the hair also wasn't too similar to the skin, that it would just kind of blend into one. Or it would just look like an albino person with blonde hair, you know, or it's like, do you have hair? I can't tell. It looks like the same color of your skin. Got some of that thigh, I'm not sure what you call it, thigh pudge.
Yep. Very nice. You did good.
Get the legs together. Don't mind that. I put the wrong leg in there, and I had to put the right leg back in there.
Good. I've done that plenty of times. I'm going to take this apart real quick. My legs are backwards now.
Wrong leg. The thing about this is that so that high school girl kit or whatever, the Sotai Senshi, I really need to find out what the name of them are called instead of trying to butcher the name. But
Of course.
the hips are wider than the Megami device ones. So in terms of getting it back onto the body, I had to disassemble the entire waist so I can get her legs back in there.
Oh.
Just because of how they're made. So they have that little ball joint inside of the hip joint itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see here, it doesn't quite fit, but it does kind of give the illusion that her hips are super wide. So,
Which is what we're going for.
it's 100% what I was going for.
Nice birthing hips.
Yes, a really curvaceous sorcerer. Well, this is kind of true because I wanted a foil to the wizard, while the wizard was more like childlike and kind of kid-like. I wanted the sorcerer to be more mature, and that's the reason why it's kind of that way. So now we're moving on to the eyes. I'm
Okay.
gonna do some slicing and dicing, and slicing and dicing, and slicing and Right. It was a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, we're getting at all the eyes here. And I'm putting them on like little party masks so that I can see if I actually really wanted to use those eyes for that face. There's one. And we'll do this other more normal looking face one. And
This looks like the things I've seen when people hold their phone in front of their face for the eyes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just-
I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that that's the eyes that I want to use. So, do the thing we've done so many videos before, but dunk that water slide in there. If you didn't know how to do water slides, you better know now. I've done it like 8 bajillion times.
Yes.
I'm eventually going to stop showing how this is done, unless people like it. But I
feel like it's one of those things where it's like it's good just to have, not necessarily that you're telling us how to do it, but it's like dunk the eyes,
show.
wet the eyes. It'd just be a bit awkward like that.
I still don't get how people can do the water slide decals where they just pull the decal straight off of the paper like it's a sticker and then just stick it on the face. Honestly, that's still to this day, I'm like, mine have ripped for less. So for someone to just pick it up with a pair of tweezers and just place it onto a face, like, what are you doing? How do you do that? Is there a tool for that? I need to know, because I can't ever get it to not rip when I do it that way.
Maybe just get it more wet. Maybe that's the issue.
I'm not sure. I've tried a bunch of different things, but I've never been able to get it just right. And here, I don't know if you remember, but like 2 episodes ago, I'd said that, remember, an eye's length apart is what the correct spacing is.
Yeah,
this
and
was
you just
the
eyeballed
kit. I did eyeball it, but this was the kit that I was finally like, I need to start actually measuring that out because I'm not doing a good job.
I mean, I feel like that doesn't look bad. That looks very anime-ish.
She needs some more cleanup. So unfortunately, masking with silly putty is not a perfected science, but it's the best thing to do for when you have like curved surfaces. So for her chest, obviously I needed to do that. I couldn't use masking tape. So
well, I saw they've recently made, or maybe they've always had, and you just didn't know, or did you've used it and you didn't like it. But I saw that they have masking tape designed for curves.
Yeah, I have that, and it did not work for her bosom, unfortunately. It didn't work out very well. So, but yeah. So here we go. This is the issue with using the latex, right? I did not use a flexible paint. So when it cured, it did not move with it. So I had to remake all these parts.
Oh no.
I've recently learned that they do make a flexible paint for this stuff, so I'm going to give it another attempt. I tried to remake her kind of skirt. Also, 100% this video is not fully edited correctly because it didn't have that right spot. But anyways, so I made her a new front skirt out of plastic. And I lose the flexibility, unfortunately, but I still get the effect of what I wanted, which is this, I'm not sure what you call it, but like the loincloth on the front. And then I formed out some plastic loincloth ribbony bits for her back as well. So, lessons learned, use flexible paint. I'm going to give it another shot with another character, but yeah, it was very heartbreaking to get to the very end and then be like, oh, well,
that didn't work.
It actually didn't work at all. And I didn't even realize it until I started moving her around a little bit and I started seeing some of the paint fleck off. And that's when I tried to stretch it a little bit, and that's when I saw that, yeah, it was just completely destroyed.
God.
And using actual fabric was also a thing because I can't sew, but I think the end result was pretty good. I gave some little resin accents to kind of make it pop a little bit with some fun details there.
That actually does look pretty good.
And here we go again with the plastic form part. This one is actually the plastic form part that this kit was for. I made her sleeve using more epoxy sculpt and painting it in the same manner. I think the red inside of the sleeve, I thought it looks cool, but I think it just kind of blends into her hand. In real life, you can kind of see it a little better, but in the video, it picks it up as almost being the same color. Yeah. More accents for her jewelry. Gave her some earrings. Those are little moons. So,
that's nice.
The finished product.
Ooh.
She's got a tail. Just defense up to this.
It's pretty nice. I feel like the tail's a little too far up on her back, but like, meh.
That's the only connection point that they have. I got it from a kit.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah. So there we go. This is the completed, and I guess she's like the only one that actually has a name, but this is Hale, the tiefling sorcerer.
I like it. I wish the bow on the back here was also a different color, because that kind of blends in with everything.
Yeah,
like on her back there.
I gave her a little magic book, and I gave her connection points since she has her tail on her leg, so that she can still stand up. But yeah, she's holding her book.
It's pretty good. I like the use of colors here. I do like her skin. I like how it's a bit different. I don't know. Something about the connection on some of the points to the skin from the clothing throws me off. And then I feel like you should have done like the inside of her sleeve there a different color to contrast from her arm.
Yeah, I just didn't really know what color to do
right
at that point.
Yeah, probably like a blue or something, like have done the outside the purple and then the blue, I think would have done really good. Ooh, I didn't notice like gun looking marks there, but everything else looks really good. I'm gonna give this one 7 out of 10, I think.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. She could be better, but she's not bad.
All right.